The matter at hand, the President has asked that Congress authorize over $50 billion for international affairs programs for fiscal year 2016. Over $1 billion has been requested for programs of all types in the jurisdiction of this subcommittee. That is a sizable increase from roughly $640 million spent for fiscal year 2014. Given the events in Eastern Europe over the past 18 months, much of the increased spending is targeted on Ukraine, Georgia, and Moldova. Yet, let me note that we are currently $18 trillion in debt, and the debt is increasing every day. So every dollar we use to help people in foreign countries places that much additional burden on the backs of the American taxpayer, even worse, on the backs of America's children who will inherit this debt. All government programs need to meet a high standard, but foreign assistance particularly, if it is to be given at all, must meet the most rigorous standards for accountability. Congress has the duty to scrutinize the President's requests to make sure it is responsible and that it properly supports our nation's international policy priorities. As I discussed during the same hearing last year, post-war Europe is often cited as a successful example of U.S. foreign assistance. The Marshall Plan did succeed. It did so because it was part of a larger U.S. approach to restoring Europe. The German government itself, for example, undertook reforms to remove extensive price controls and other restrictions on trade, production, and the distribution of goods. That's what helped restore their economy more than any aid program. I'd encourage us all to keep that experience in mind as we talk about governments like the one in Kiev, which we are currently working so hard to support. The United States government can provide loan guarantees, technical assistance programs, and training, but if the Ukrainians themselves can't sustain the drive to reform their country and root out corruption, our efforts will be fruitless. Since Moldova gained its independence, for example, the United States has spent over $1 billion to help that country develop into a prosperous democracy. This year's request for Moldova is nearly $50 million, or $20 million over fiscal year 2014. During my question time, I hope to hear from the witnesses why our aid to Moldova is increasing so dramatically when the political parties and corrupt ruling elite in Moldova have shown zero real interest in the type of reforms that country needs in order to prosper. Let me note there is a grave distinction between humanitarian assistance and development aid. Of course, we should always be ready to respond to natural disasters, perhaps like the one that is experienced with Tbilisi, earthquakes, floods, those type of natural disasters. We owe it to our fellow human beings, and being one of the most prosperous countries in the world, to help out in these cases of dire emergency. However, development funds can't work if recipient countries do not undertake economic reforms. The role of government assistance is not thus to replace private investment. Without objection, all members will have 5 legislative days to submit additional written questions or extraneous materials for the record. With that, I turn to our ranking member, Congressman Meeks, for his opening statement.